Hello again, thanks everybody for watching our channel. If you like our content, please like, share, comment, subscribe so that we can keep bringing you more of these stories. In the heart of Mérida, shrouded by the vibrant facade of its surrounding neighborhood, the Clínica Peninsular stood in hushed decay. Once a bustling hospital, it had become nothing more than a shell of its former self, its cracked walls and shattered windows whispering secrets that sent shivers down the spine of anyone daring enough to venture close. The sprawl of ivy creeping across the brick was the only testament to the passage of time, intertwining the living with the memories of the dead. Lara had heard the tales of the clinic from her grandmother, a local who had grown up in the shadow of the building. There are places where the past clings too tightly, she'd say, her eyes glancing nervously at the clinic. You can hear the echoes if you listen closely. Faint screams reverberated in Lara's imagination, the cries of women and wailing infants mingling with the stories of loss and sorrow. Curiosity tugged at her, igniting an urge to uncover the truth behind the legend. On a humid October night, the moon was a mere sliver, suffusing the world in an eerie gray light as Lara stood before the derelict structure, heart racing. A thick mist enveloped the area, swirling at her feet as if trying to dissuade her from stepping over the threshold. She had enlisted the help of Miguel, a fellow student with a penchant for the paranormal, and together, armed with flashlights and a small voice recorder, they breached the barricade where the police had attempted to keep the curious at bay. As they entered, the overwhelming stench of mildew and decay filled the air, suffocating and thick. Shadows danced in the corners of their flashlights, elongating into grotesque forms that seemed to further twist the already distorted memories of the clinic. The walls, painted in peeling pastels, echoed the laughter and cries of children, specters trapped in time, longing for freedom. "Miguel, did you hear that?" Lara whispered, her voice trembling as they explored a dimly lit corridor lined with doors that appeared to breathe, their hinges creaking under the weight of the silence. "What was it?" he asked, his inquisitive nature giving way to unease. "Sounds like crying." They crept deeper into the clinic, following the mournful sounds that seemed to pull them further into the heart of the darkness. Their flashlights flickered ominously, illuminating faded reminders of life, discarded hospital gowns, a forgotten crayon drawing by a child who had never left, a small teddy bear lying abandoned. Each item felt like a heavy stone, contributing to the oppressive air that weighed them down. As they stepped into what appeared to be an old maternity ward, the room became still, almost expectant. The cries grew louder, reverberating around them, drowning out their breaths. Shadows danced along the walls, coalescing into vague silhouettes of women, faceless figures draped in sorrow and loss, forever tied to the tragedies of the past. Lara's heart pounded, both in fear and sympathy. "Miguel, do you see that?" she gasped, pointing toward the far end of the room, where a figure stood, flickering like a faulty neon sign. Before Miguel could respond, the temperature plummeted, and a powerful force surged through them, pushing them back. The entity materialized, a translucent woman clad in blood-stained hospital garb. Her eyes were hollow, mirroring the despair of countless lives lost within these walls. The woman's mouth opened wide, and Lara felt the air vibrate with her scream, a haunting wail of anguish echoing the cries of the countless souls imprisoned in the clinic's dark legacy. "We need to leave," Miguel shouted, panic igniting his voice as confusion turned to terror. But Lara stood frozen, her heart aching for the sorrowful figure. "No, wait," she pleaded. "She's trying to tell us something." Suddenly, a series of cold winds swept through the room, scattering papers and debris. The entity's face twisted in anguish, her words flowing from her lips like water. "Help us, set us free." The plea pierced Lara's heart. This was not merely a ghost seeking vengeance but a soul trapped in a nightmare, yearning for recognition of the suffering endured. "Lara." Miguel grabbed her arm, pulling her back toward the corridor, urgency laced in his voice. "Now. We have to go." Reluctantly, she turned, her mind racing with the weight of what they had witnessed. But as they fled down the hall, the cries of anguish began to quiet, and the deafening sorrow shifted to a fragile whisper. "Remember us." Emerging from the clinic, the night air slapped against them like a cold wake-up call. They stumbled away.